Hey everyone, today we are talking about the DJI Osmo Action 4, and this is your GoPro competitor, your competitor to Insta360. It's your typical action cam in the typical form factor that you're used to. And I want to talk about the pros and cons and sort of my recommendations. So first, let's start off with the price. So this I bought on eBay for $235, and great price for these, and they're one generation old, but the performance of them is quite good from what I've seen. It also has amazing stabilization, so similar to GoPro, this has what they call rock steady, and the overall footage is quite good and really not super different than anything in the industry currently. I would say maybe only second to Insta360s with their 360 cameras, which have stabilization that's a bit better. But also talking about maybe some of the resolutions that this can take too. So 4K, 120 frames per second. So you can get some sweet slow motion in 4K, which is really nice to get. Not all action cameras have that capability, which is nice. It has this front-facing screen, which is also touchscreen too. So something that most of the cameras do not have is a touchscreen that allows you to actually change the settings and what have you on here. But it also gives you the ability to frame up too, so you get to see what's in the actual frame. So you can see this, and that's really nice to have too. So both the aspect of having it being a touchscreen and also being able to look at it and be like, hey, am I in the screen or not? So that's really nice. It also has the capability of connecting to one DJI mic through Bluetooth and having the audio, because the protocols are the same, come through really with nice quality. So that's something that's really nice. You don't need a microphone adapter or anything like that. So it just connects through Bluetooth and you get that sweet audio from the DJI mic. Now the issue with this, and maybe why you would want to upgrade to the DJI Osmo Action 5, is because this can only connect to one mic and you might want to connect to two mics. So if you're somebody who needs to connect to two mics, then it might be something that you end up switching to. But with this one, you just get one, and then obviously you can connect this to external mics and through the USB-C port. So another thing that's really nice is that this lens here is removable. So you can just unscrew it here, and you can, if you break it, you can replace it pretty easily. It's kind of tight, but it needs to be tight so that it's water sealed. But you can take it off right here, and you can see internally the sensor. They got two gaskets here so that it stays nice and waterproof. But it's nice that you can replace these and also have ND filters for this as well. So another thing here, battery life. Again, battery life is quite good on this, and I haven't had any issues thinking about how much it's going to record. Additionally, what I do like about DJI batteries is that with the Action 5, it does allow you to use the same batteries. So the Action 5 can use these old batteries, and also the DJI Action 4 can use the newer batteries too. So that's something that's really nice. And they sort of tout the marketing aspect of it to be able to record in really cold temperatures without losing a lot of that capacity. So that's something that's really nice with this. Additionally, low lights. Action cams aren't really known for this, but it has a fairly big sensor with a 1/1.3 inch sensor. I think as an industry standard, action cameras should try to move towards a 1-inch sensor, which will capture a lot of low lights and be something that you can use in all different scenarios. Now, in low light scenarios, this is pretty good. The DJI Action 5 is supposed to be slightly better, but I've seen different scenarios where this actually performs better. This performs much better than the Insta360 Ace Pro, but not the Ace Pro 2. The Ace Pro 2 is probably right on par with this, maybe a little bit better in terms of exposure. And I would say either the the Ace Pro 2 from Insta360 and the DJI Action 4 and DJI Action 5 are much better than the newest, latest and greatest GoPros. For some reason, GoPro is just really poor at developing the software that will allow it to see better in low light, and it's not a sensor thing. So I'm not entirely sure why that is the case. I think you can manually change the settings to get something there, but again, exposure wise, it's just not great. I think the overall video quality is quite good. It's on par with any of the action cameras, so I wouldn't really have any issues to say with that. It's good. It's not, you know, a 1-inch sensor. It's not, you know, a full frame camera or anything like that, but it's great for the little compact form factor that you have here. The other thing that's really nice about DJI is that they know how to develop an app, and it's much better than GoPro's app. I would probably say Insta360's app is probably first, and then DJI's is probably second on the totem pole. Now, Insta360 did make some changes with the new X5 that they released, and now they're kind of on par with each other. But I would say Insta360's app just makes you want to create. It makes me want to create a little bit less now because of the new update that they made, but this is also quite good as well in terms of overall app performance. I mentioned the audio, so you can just put in a USB-C to TRS or TRRS cable, and then you can also use a direct connection through USB-C to a USB-C receiver. And I use the Hollyland Lark Maxes, and I just connect the USB-C to USB-C, and it allows me to receive audio on here. So that's really nice. You don't need to use or buy the proprietary mic adapter for this. So that's something that's really nice to be able to do, not another expense for you. This also came out with the magnetic mount, so you can see this here. It's nice and easy. This one works pretty well. It takes a while to get used to it, but essentially here you can see if you pull out this and then pull out this other one, you can disconnect them, but the magnet is quite strong, so you probably won't really have an issue with this sticking on here, but apparently I'm having an issue taking it off. But what's nice about this and what's bad about it is that, first off, it's like if you have one of these to quickly mount anywhere, and you have, let's say, a bike or a suction mount or a selfie stick or what have you, you'll have to buy a bunch of these things, which is kind of annoying. But I think in general, and they're pretty easy to know which way to put them on because they won't fit on this way, but they will fit on this way. But basically when you do this here, it's kind of this way here, and then you snap it in here by pressing this open, but you can also just snap it in by pressing it. So that won't go anywhere, and it's not really gonna have any issues mounting anything. It comes with a plastic one, and I'd say it's fine. And then it also comes with this case as well, and you can put the camera in the case, which is actually a little bit janky. It's like it doesn't come all the way off. It kind of just fits right in here. So you just shove the camera in and then you snap it on, and then you can mount it either way. So this is not something that you can do with GoPros. They now came out with this for GoPros, but essentially you can mount it both ways now. So you can both mount it horizontally and vertically. So that's something that's nice too, with this case on there. So you can just quickly take it off instead of having to unscrew everything, and then you can mount it horizontally now instead of vertically. So that's something that's nice and bad at the same time, because you have to buy like a bunch of new things. If you've been using GoPros in the past and you don't have like these magnetic mounts everywhere, I mean, it's not super expensive, but it's just another thing to have. And For me, I just don't like to have to buy more things when thinking about something that I've been using for many, many years. This also has in the software the ability to remove the selfie stick in the software, but the issue that I saw was that you only have this ability to do this on the Mimo app on your phone. So you can export it technically from your phone and then import that into your computer and edit the video there. But I did find that it's kind of annoying that you have to do all this through, like, part of the purpose of having an action camera is just point and shoot and then put it onto your timeline and then edit from there. Not having to do the same thing like you have to do with 360 cameras where you edit it and then put the overlays for speed and stuff like that on there. And then export it from there and then import it into your timeline and then edit the video. It just doesn't work that well in the workflow, but you know, it's nice that it has that feature at least somewhere. I think that's all of the pros, so let's move on to the cons. Starting off with the wins and the mics. So the mics here, there are two in the front and one on the top. So we have microphone here at the top here, and then we have two microphones at the front here, one here, one here. You can put wind muffs on all three of them and help out with the audio quite a bit, but I did see the standard and the no winds resistance in terms of the microphones being just okay. Like, it wasn't great. I would say the performance of the audio is good when it's not in windy conditions. So we want to get up to speed, use the GPS tracks that we have from the Coros Dura, and see what it's like if we're trying to just video record what's going on here. So we're at 15 miles an hour. Got some people mowing the lawn. Let's get up to a little bit faster here. All right, so this is what it sounds like when we're going 19 miles an hour. And if you can use that footage from going that fast. And also curious about the audio too, because we have switched the audio in the Insta360 X4 to active wind reduction. So there are 4 modes, I believe: stereo, directional, auto winds, and then active winds. So those are essentially the 2 that we want to look at. But yeah, curious to see. I think the stabilization for the Insta360 X4 will be better, just because with the 360 camera it's just going to be a bit better in that manner. So yeah, how's it look? Another con that I ran into, and I don't know if this was from the micro SD card that I was using, but I did have 2 or 3 freezes while I was testing this out. So the screen froze, it was just sitting there, and then I had to remove the battery to actually get it recording again. So I don't know what that case was. I checked for new firmware updates and didn't have any. So it might be just a fluke issue, but it did happen 3 times. So I did not like that at all. And it's similar performance to like what I had with a GoPro Hero 9. There probably is some improvement with the Action 5, but yeah, the Action 4 is just okay with in terms of like the screen locking and having issues recording. But it also could have been the SD card that I had. This is just a nitpicky one. In the Mimo app, what I like to do is to add the speed from a GPX file. So it does allow you to hook up with other files, and it also allows you, this is also something that's nice because I don't believe that Insta360 allows this, is that you can essentially export a FIT file or a GPX file, and you can import that into your phone and then connect it to the Mimo app and then start your timeline based on the workout or whatever you were doing, and overlay the speed or cadence or power or what have you onto the video. Something that's nice that you can do, but there is an issue because you cannot switch it to miles per hour. For some reason, it doesn't allow you to do that. So you would have to do this in a different application when you're exporting the video. So kind of annoying to me. I do like the ability to do that on your phone, to get that overlays and just to connect it to all of the apps that are fitness based. Also, something that I noticed is that the touchscreen isn't super great either. I get a lot of misclicks and mistouches. Now, I understand that this screen is supposed to be a little bit snappier than the GoPros, but I find myself mistapping a lot. I'm not sure if everybody else runs into that issue, but I do run into that issue quite a bit, especially on the front screen, because it is quite a bit of a smaller screen, but it's kind of like sometimes I'm tapping something and it doesn't tap what I want it to. So I'm repressing a lot of times. So the screen is just okay. I would prefer it to be a little bit more responsive and just a little bit more precise with the taps. And then finally, usability. The settings aren't super clear. There are less settings than I would say in a GoPro, but for example, I wanted to change the shutter speed and I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do. I actually had to look up how to do this. So that was kind of annoying. So I actually have to switch to manual here when I'm choosing the shutter speed, but it's specifically saying when I'm in auto, it shows the exposure, which is weird. So when I hit manual, then I get the shutter speed here on the left side here. So that's something that's a little bit, something that I think everybody can get used to, but it was just something that was a little bit weird when I was working on this. Also, GoPro runs into this issue too, but I thought it was weird when doing Rocksteady and also using the light mode. So there are certain restrictions on what you can use to get the low light mode, and essentially one of the ones is that you cannot be in ultra wide. I'm not sure why that is the case, but you have to be outside of that, and then you can enable the auto low lights in the bottom right corner there. So it's nice that it has that setting, but it was strange to actually get to it. But overall, I'd say my recommendation is definitely buy this if you're looking for a good action camera and something that performs well low light wise and has good stabilization. I would say if you're planning on using the audio directly out of this, maybe check out some of the videos where you can put wind muffs on this and on the top here. There are some pretty decent videos, basically just 3M tape and then sticking on and cutting off a bit of the dead cat and then sticking them here. The only issue that I would say is that I ran into this issue with one of my GoPros, is that you want to steer clear of the sensor here and also steer clear of this lens here, because if you're in the lens in the frame, then you run into the issue of shooting that the entire time, or the wind blowing it into the lens so that you start seeing that in there instead of just whatever you're taking video of. But with that said, that's about it. Let me know in the comments what you think, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.